When you get to the semi-final of any international competition, it means that you have been one of the most consistent and also one of the best teams at that competition. With Jose Peseiro, the question is how far can he take the Super Eagles? How much more can he give? What is left in the tank of the Portuguese? And most importantly, should his contract be extended? Remember that part of the criteria for getting a new contract was that he was supposed to get the Super Eagles to the semi-finals of the African Cup of Nations. He has done that. Is that enough to extend Jose Peseiro's contract? That is the $1 million question I'll be asking not just my guy on the show today, but millions of Nigerians if Peseiro should continue with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. With that, I welcome you to another exciting edition of Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebole. So we have so much to unpack on the show for you today. The final of the African Cup of Nations is on the 11th of February. Who will lift that title? I don't know. I guess that we have brought out our crystal balls and we're trying to consult with the God of football. Away from the AFCON, let's tell you that the biggest news in the world of Formula One is Lewis Hamilton joining the most successful team in the history of Formula One, Ferrari. And not forgetting plenty of action from Europe's top leagues. In England, it was Arsenal reviving their title pursuit as they defeated Liverpool 3-1 at the Emirates. In Italy, the Derby d'Italia, Inter Milan versus Juventus, and Inter once again flexed their muscles and sent a reminder to the rest of the league that it is our league to lose. And finally, in the Spanish La Liga, the Madrid derby, it was a late dagger in the heart of Los Blancos as former player Marcos Llorente got a much-needed equalizer for Atleti in that particular one. All right, let's go on a break, take a breather. When we come back, we start off the show with the African Cup of Nations. I have a new face on the show. I'll be unveiling him right when we come back. Welcome back, Edwin Onyebole in the building alongside Abe David. David, it's good to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
How's your week been so far?
Well, it's been good. It's been good. Surprisingly, the city of Lagos will be experiencing some very weird weather in the middle of February.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take it as it comes.
All right, let's talk about the African Cup of Nations and the Super Eagles. Before the game, there were a lot of pacing hearts. Adrenaline. We didn't know what to expect. The Angolans have scored goals. The Angolans were playing some of the best football at the AFCON against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I must commend the Eagles. They defended well. They kept control of the game and they scored a brilliant goal.
Yeah, I agree. I think the trepidation and some of the fear from the Nigerian fans and most Nigerians is just because of disappointments we've suffered. I remember the last Nations Cup. That disappointment is enough to make you feel, that something is wrong with this team. But I think Peseiro has shown that what he has given us so far during this competition is not a fluke. He has really shown that he's a tournament manager. He knows how to organize a team. Defensively, that foundation is as solid as we have ever seen it in the history of this. But I think the stats is we have never we've never kept 4 clean sheets in Nations Cup before, and this is the first time. So there's something actually working, and we made the Angolans look ordinary, to be very honest, apart from maybe a particular scare in the second half. I think we've shown that we have what it takes to win this competition and go as far as possible and win it. Yeah, that's the farthest we can go. So I think winning it is probably a good chance for Nigeria.
Coming to the African Cup of Nations, we felt our attack was our strongest point. We're boasting the likes of Victor Osimhen, reigning African Footballer of the Year, Ademola Lookman in the side. At some point, we had Boniface, who unfortunately succumbed to injury. The Sport Onuachu is bagging in goals with Trabzonspor in the Turkish league. You had Chukwueze, Kelechi Iheanacho, Terry Murphy, and the rest. But so far, so good. Like you said, the defense have been our backbone, and it must be said that Trust Ekong, Calvin Bassey, and Shemi Ajayi have been arguably the best defensive unit at the AFCON.
Yeah, I think the manager has provided a hymn sheet, and all the players, the defenders, are singing from the same hymn sheet. They are all on the same wavelength, and in fact, they've come to this tournament with a game plan, and they are executing it to the very letter. Every T is being crossed, every I is being dotted. And I think it's showing that, there's adage that, attack wins you games, but defense wins you champions. I think that's the mantra that Jose Peseiro has come to this tournament, and I think it's going to be a very positive one for Super
And right
Eagles.
in front of the Super Eagles, Frank Onyeka has been immense. I remember when the news broke out of indeed missing the AFCON, I was a bit worried because we didn't have a natural number 6 in the Super Eagles team. But Alassane came up in the first game, was good, picked up that knock, and Frank Onyeka since then has stepped up and he has completely owned the midfield.
Yeah, I think he played. I remember when he first joined Brentford, he played only one preseason game, and the Brentford fans nicknamed him the Tank. So I think he's showing he's the tank. He puts his body everywhere in the midfield. He's a worker, a proper grafter. He may not have all the other flashes that most midfielders should have. He's not really that technically sound or expressive, but putting his body about, getting tackles, winning the ball back, is very good at it. I think the coach has found a way to make him, the best that he can be in this tournament for Nigeria.
And for Ademola Lookman, what a revelation! For Ademola Lookman, what a revelation has been. I remember after the World Cup qualifiers against Ghana, he came under a lot of criticisms. In fact, there were questions about his commitment to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, to the Nigerian cause. But he has answered those questions in stunning fashion. Got a brace against Cameroon, got the only goal against Angola. He seemed to be profiting off the movement of Victor Osimhen, who, ironically, has been struggling to find the back of the net with consistency at the AFCON.
Yeah, I must give credit to Jose Peseiro first and foremost. He has found a way to, bring the best out of Ademola Lookman. If we look at Ademola Lookman all throughout this career, he's not a traditional winger in the very sense of it. He's not bombing up and down the flanks. At Atalanta, he plays in the front two, just as a supporting striker, and the coach has found a way to utilize him in that position and driving up the runs of Osimhen. And so he's getting the opportunity, and I think more of that will come in this competition as we progress.
You've spoken about Jose Peseiro a lot. I don't know if you're a fan of him, but let me throw this question to you. Like I said during the intro, I'm also throwing the questions to our listeners. Should the NFF retain Jose Peseiro?
Yes, I strongly agree that it should be retained, at least even if it's in the short term, see us through the World Cup qualifiers and maybe take us to the next one. He has shown that, fine, the fact that Nigerians, I've heard a lot of Nigerians complain about the fact that, we're not playing the best of football, but that is not going to be Jose Peseiro's job. His job is to get the team winning matches and winning competition. So I think if we want to get a football identity, a football philosophy, the technical department, the technical advisor, and the technical head, they should get a template for Nigerian football. But in the medium and the short term, I think a coach that can take us to tournaments and win matches on the consistent, get us a pattern to win matches, what we need. So I think Peseiro, he has achieved, the objective semi-final. So I think he should stay in the long, medium to short term. Let's put it like that. All
right. Away from the Super Eagles briefly, let's take a look at the AFCON in general. What has been your general overview? What has stood out for you? The countries that have stood out for you? The players who have shown like a million stars. What has been the highlights and the high points of the AFCON thus far?
So I think the gap, I was talking to a friend some days ago, the gap between the big teams and the small teams has really closed up on the African continent. Fine, there are still minus, but the gap is really closing. Look at a country like Cape Verde. They've been a consistent fixture on the AFCON, and they've been improving with each tournament. Now they're in the semi-final. So I think it's that gap that is being bridged. So it is the likes of Nigeria, the likes of Ivory Coast, Cameroon, they need to step up their game. If not, the smaller teams, supposed smaller teams, will catch up with the bigger teams. And I think that it has made for a very fantastic AFCON. The fact that the smaller teams have felt that they can now rub shoulders with the bigger teams on the African continent.
Who has been the standout player? Likely MVP?
So everybody will say Emilio Insue as the top scorer of the tournament. But I would look at, for me personally, I would take Calvin Bassey. He has been a revelation at centre back for Nigeria. I remember when he went to Ajax, he was booted out after a few seasons. The fact that it was the problem with Ajax, he could not defend. He came to the Premier League with Fulham. He struggled in his first few games, but he has shown that he's a proper defender. And it's the fact that the coach has found a way to make him excel in that tournament. I think he has been a standout player for me in this tournament.
All right, it is Sports Pizza and Edwin and Abby David still in the building. We'll leave the AFCON And let's go to the world of Formula One, David. Yeah, no one saw this coming. But if you've been following F1, you've been following the gist and the rumors the last couple of years, especially 2022, where rumors were rife that Lewis Hamilton had agreed a deal in principle with Ferrari. He came out and debunked it. And since then, while the rumor went under the carpet, he wasn't completely swept out. But last week, finally, he's gotten his dream move. The most successful driver in the history of Formula One, alongside Michael Schumacher, before Schumacher fans will come for me, and the most successful team.
Yeah.
On the surface, it looks like a marriage made in heaven. But when you look beneath, when you begin to analyze, and you begin to take out one piece by one piece, I struggle to see how this is a marriage made in heaven. Hamilton is going to be 40 years when his contract with Ferrari starts, and Ferrari have been in the doldrums the last 15 years. The last time they won the Drivers' Champions League title was Kimi Raikkonen, 2011, 2010. That's how many years ago? 13, 14 years ago. Do you think this is a move that should have happened years before now?
Yeah, I agree. It's a move that should. So if you follow the trend, this is not the first time they've actually tried to tempt Hamilton to cross over. But I think he felt he was on the top of his game at that time at Mercedes, so he kept his cool. But I think now he has looked at what is on ground for Mercedes, and he feels like this is not what I can. And there's also the issue of the fact that the last renewal was a 1-year contract with an option for another year, but he wanted a long-term commitment. Ferrari have given him a long-term commitment, and so I think that was enough to tempt him. But well, it looks like a marriage made in heaven. But he mentioned the fact that the Drivers' Champion, they've not won in a long time, and also the Constructors' title, which is a testament of how good a team is on the grid. They've not won since 2008, so I think that's a big sign that there's probably not enough to push them over the line to challenge challenge Red Bull at this point in time. But let's see how it goes from here.
For Mercedes, what does this mean? You look at its dominant era they had with Lewis Hamilton, they had Nico Rosberg, who won one title alongside Lewis Hamilton. But the last 3 seasons have been awful for Mercedes. Do you think it's going to get worse? Or getting Hamilton out, getting a younger, motivated driver alongside George Russell is the platform they need to relaunch the phase 2 of Mercedes?
If I'll be honest, that is one part of the issue. But I think the other part of the issue is the team as a whole. Their car, they have some issues with their car that's made it difficult for them to compete with Red Bull on the big stage. So I think apart from fixing the issue of maybe getting the younger driver to challenge, to give George Russell support, I think they also need to work on challenging Red Bull at the very top of the game with some of the changes to the car. And I think the new power unit a ruling that will come in the next season, I think they should find a way to challenge Mercedes at Red Bull at that level. So I think they might have a chance, but there's a lot of gap to be bridged. Yeah,
a lot of gap to be bridged. The Formula One season is upon us. March, we'll be getting the first race of the season. We're looking forward to it with excitement. And Hamilton has said, hey, Mercedes fans, don't worry. I'm going to give you 100% commitment. And who says he might just leave Mercedes with that Drivers' Championship title that will take him to 8? If not, he has another opportunity with Ferrari. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll switch focus back to football. And this time, we're starting at the Emirates. Arsenal 3, Liverpool 1. Welcome back. I'm sure you're having fun with us. Edwin and David still in the building. It is your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are shown on your screen at Sports Pizza on all social media platforms. David, let's get back to football. Arsenal 3, Liverpool 1. To be honest, I didn't expect an Arsenal win. And most, I felt, hey, they'll get a draw. Twice they faced Liverpool this season. Once at Anfield, they picked up a draw, lost to Liverpool in the FA Cup at the Emirates. I thought momentum was on the side of Liverpool, and they were going to come here and show that they mean business. They want to end the season on a high. They want to win the league title. But the moment the game started, the Gunners took it to Liverpool, And from that moment, you could see that Arsenal had set the tone on how the game was going to go.
Yeah. So I think the moment Arteta stepped into Arsenal, the first thing he said was, look at the standards of Manchester City and Liverpool. Those are the heights we want to reach. And he has, over the years, he has found a way to try to bridge the gap, close the gap over the years. And I think games like this, the difference between this Arteta's era and previous era is that in matches like this, you see the Arsenal up for the fight. They are no longer bullied or outplayed in such matches. Look at against the top six this season now, they are unbeaten. This is the fourth match in a row that Arsenal are unbeaten against Liverpool. So in the league that they are unbeaten against Liverpool, they got a 3-2 win at the Emirates last season, and they got a 2-2 draw at Anfield. So I think Arteta has found a way to bridge the gap. The mentality of these players has improved, but there's just the step over the line that they need. But I think with the way they are going, they'll definitely get there.
Are they back in the title race? 2 points separates Liverpool, who sit at the summit with Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely they are back in the title race. The match was Arsenal's final. It looked like a final, and they played it like a final. If they had lost, they would have gone 8 points behind, and that's in this with City also on the bend waiting for them. So I think the victory was what they needed, and they got to. So the title race is now game on.
For those who don't know, David is an Arsenal fan. That's why you see that smile on his face. David, what must Arsenal do from now to the end of the season to win that title?
So I think they must have,
or stand a chance,
to
win the title.
So I think they must take a cue from last season. They must go to every game with a desire to win, and then they must convert their chances. They must, complacency that sets in towards the tail end of last season. Hopefully, the injuries that also set in will not, set in this season. But I think they need to just go with this same mentality, win matches. That's the most important thing. And when they have opportunities, there are some matches that Arsenal find it difficult to close out, and they need to, against teams that are set up in low block. I remember the Forest game, the Brighton game, and then so I think they need to, in matches like that, they need to take their chances and take advantage of those matches.
Both teams profited from defensive mix-ups.
Yeah.
Liverpool got a lifeline at the tail end of the first half. Arsenal also got theirs, what proved to be the match-winning goal before Trossard sealed the win with that late effort. But for Liverpool, they will be reeling. Klopp should be reeling, should be sitting. Van Dijk came out and owned his mistake, but Liverpool were flat. Flat. Do you think it was down to the occasion? Some have pointed to Nunes not starting this game. He gives them something different. Liverpool were never in the game, despite getting an equalizer. In fact, that equalizer was their first on target. That wasn't from even a Liverpool player. Yeah. What went wrong?
So I think a lot has been made about how Liverpool were poor, but I think Arsenal were quite good. They took the game to Liverpool. It's not every time. This is the first time Liverpool have had a match in the first half where they've not had a shot on target. So I think Arsenal had a lot to do with how Liverpool played. They took the game to. From the moment I saw Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, I knew that Martinelli was going to have a field day because he's just coming back from injury, and he's not the best of defenders on a good day. Not talk of any day when he's not fully. You see, in the second half, Klopp had to take him off. So I think Arsenal's approach to the game was what made Liverpool look bad in that fixture. All
right, away from that, other fixtures, Manchester United, back-to-back wins for them, 3-0 win against West Ham United. Højlund scored on his birthday, and Garnacho with a brace. For Chelsea, the criticisms are growing. Will Pochettino last? Back-to-back games, they conceded 4 goals. Yeah. In the Premier League, 8 goals conceded, dropped points, uninspiring performance. How long can Pochettino hang on to his job?
And ironically, I was one of the people that actually gave Pochettino a chance.
Yeah, same here. I was raised up my hands.
It was a marriage that looked perfect, but it's not, because Pochettino has also made some mistakes of his own. Till now, Pochettino does not have a defined starting 11. He keeps chopping and changing, especially the centre backs. He keeps changing them. Today is Badiashile, tomorrow is Disasi, Thiago Silva. And so I think he has a hand in this situation at Chelsea. So I think the best thing is, if results continue like this before the end of February, I guess the best thing would be for them to save the season before it goes too bad.
All right, let's talk about the Italian Serie A, the Derby d'Italia. Yeah. Inter Milan versus Juventus. It is the fiercest rivalry in Italian football. For those who don't know, it is not Juventus versus Torino. It is not Milan versus Inter. It is Juventus versus Inter Milan. But once again, David, like I've always said, the last couple of months, this league is Inter's to win. And we saw it yesterday. It was one goal, but if you saw the game, it was an absolute dominant performance from Inter Milan. And who's going to stop them?
I don't think there's anybody that can stop them. If they are closest rivals, Juventus, that should be the challengers. They made them look ordinary. I think this is Inter's title to lose. They have a game in hand and they are 4 points ahead. So I think the way they are playing some very imperious football. They dominate their opponent right from the start of the game. And to see them do it to Juventus in a game that should have been a title, decided. I think Inter's title to lose.
It's a good time to ask you this question because the Champions League is back next week. Can Inter win the Champions League?
No, I'll say it authoritatively. No, they cannot.
Why?
I think last season we saw them get to the final, but when you look at their run to the final, they faced Napoli on the way, they faced AC Milan. Those are their traditional, the traditional neighbors in this. But if they face some challenges from other teams, like maybe they get an Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid along the way, I don't think they'll make it all the way.
All right, away from the Italian Serie A, David, let's touch on the Spanish La Liga. It was a late heartbreak for Los Blancos. Former player Marcos Llorente with that late equalizer. You saw the excitement, you saw the jubilations from the away team, but Carlo Ancelotti was angry, he was livid with his players. But hey, if I'm to point an accusing finger, I'm going to point it at Carlo Ancelotti. Some of the changes he made didn't make sense to me. Yes, this is a manager that has won 4 Champions League titles, he's won league titles in Europe's top 5 leagues. Yeah. But sometimes it goes to show they are humans.
Absolutely. So I think from the start of the game, with the cards he was dealt, he had a lot of injuries on his hand, playing Carvajal and Nacho at centre-back. But I didn't give them much of a chance in this game. But he got himself into a position where they had the game in hand. And then, like you mentioned, some of the changes were just like giving the game initiative back to Atletico. Atletico saw it, Simeone saw it, and he felt, okay, we can still get something from it. And they kept pushing until they got the equalizer in the 93rd minute. So I think Ancelotti has himself he has the right to be angry, but himself should also be in the blame also.
For Atletico Madrid, we've seen a different side. Sometimes when I watch them this season, I fail to understand what changed. This is an exciting Atletico Madrid side. This is a team that is always on the front foot. This is a team that keeps knocking until they find a way. It's a stark contrast to the Atleti we saw yesteryears under Diego Simeone.
Yeah, I think Simeone probably has hit an epiphany, and he thinks it's time to change, to
embrace modern football.
Because if you look at that squad, the squad is an exciting squad. There are exciting players all around the team. One of the things Joao Felix complained about when he left Atletico was that this is a team that players are stifled. They are not allowed to express themselves. So I think he has found it necessary to now allow the players to express. You can't have Griezmann and have some of the other exciting players they have in that squad and not play exciting football. So I think he has hit that milestone now. Yeah.
Talking about excitement, we'll wrap up the show with the German Bundesliga. 2 points separate the top two. Leverkusen on 52 points, Bayern Munich on 50. Guess what, David? Both teams face off on Saturday. Leverkusen at home versus Bayern Munich. It is the biggest potential 6-pointer because whoever wins gets 3 points, whoever loses lost 3 points. How do you see this game going in 1 minute, quickly?
So in previous years, we've seen challengers to Bayern's title flutter, but this season there are 2 factors. One, Bayern Leverkusen look like a team that can go all the way, and then 2, Bayern do not look like the Bayern of yesteryears. This Bayern under Tuchel is all over the place. They are in flux. They are just floating around. There's no definite way they are playing. So I think this time Bayer Leverkusen can give them. They got a 2-2 draw at the Allianz Arena. I think I back them to win in this game.
All right, David is back in Leverkusen to win. Are you back in Leverkusen to end the hegemony of Bayern Munich? That's the much you can take on the show today. Remember to follow us on our social media platform at Sports Pizza. We'll leave you with our video of the week. Do enjoy it. My name is Edwin Onyebulite. I'm sure you had fun with us. We'll be doing this same time next week. And to my guests in the building, David, it's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, have fun. God bless you.